weird to me. Though.
Go ahead. What?
I was going to say, it's always so weird to me. They'll be like, this is the footage of the break-in last night. And you're like, is that a person? But they'll be like, this is a star from 500 million years ahead.
Yeah. Every picture of Bigfoot's blurry, but we get crystal clear images of black holes from 55 light years away. Makes you think, doesn't it?
It's insane.
Oh, hey, America. Welcome to the Eric and Rodney Show with Robin, presented by Offensive and Creative and Dinsmore Steel and Valari. Blah, blah, blah. We're going to change this up. It's going to be different soon, so has no credibility. Anyway, Fabian, welcome back. You're not in your truck today. Thank you for coming back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to the show.
One of our very favorite guests. You were so smart and informative. And today, I think we're going to talk about AI and data, right? Data. How the fuck you say that word?
Yeah, I never heard of her.
AI, dude, what happened? I did like a year ago. There was no ChatGPT. Then ChatGPT comes out and AI's flying airplanes, according to a story we have today. So a lot's changed in a year.
Robin's actually an AI model.
he's
not even a real boy.
That's why he's so perfect. I know. He's computer generated. I was wondering why he was so sexy and smart. Well, Robin, thanks for being here today. All right, listen.
Robin 1000.
Are we going to upgrade the model as time goes on?
Do you remember the movie? There was a movie.
I was hoping I was already the perfect model.
No, there was a movie Sherry 2000 with Melanie Griffith, and she was an android.
What's the name of the movie with
Sherry 2000?
Oh, I don't think I saw it. And I celebrate the work of Melanie Griffith. She's a very attractive woman, especially in the 80s. Wasn't she? She's with Antonio Banderas. Is that who she's married?
Not anymore.
Are they still together?
Oh, they separated. Do I have a shot? Oh, thank God. I don't think she looks too good these days, though.
She's on LinkedIn.
She's aged a little bit, just like all of us.
Yeah, we're all getting older. We're all Melanie Griffithing.
I'd argue that Margot Robbie kind of looks like a cyborg.
Margot Robbie looks like a cyborg?
Day.
Wow, she's very attractive.
Yeah.
Very hot for
She's
a cyborg.
She's the most attractive cyborg I've seen.
Absolutely. That scene in Wolf of Wall Street. Ooh, Lordy sweet Jesus. All right. We gotta blast through this so we can get to Fabian. We have AI to talk about, baby. But before we do, every day is a day here in the United States, and today is the stupidest day in the history of days, especially with what's going on. It's National Disarmament Week. Today's National Disarmament Day, guys. Do you think we're gonna lay down our guns for peace? Have we simply not asked Hamas nice enough not to be terrorists? Has anyone tried that?
I don't think they have.
I don't know if that worked.
Well. So, okay. So you're telling me there's no hope for disarmament? I was curious, though, because obviously weapons are a big thing. So I looked up the global expenditure for defense. So we're up to 2.113 trillion. I don't know if you see this here, but the Americas at second place with 883. The United States represents 800 billion of that. So we're clearly doing our part.
So I understand Africa has spent negative 39 billion. Are they lost money? I'm confused. And the Middle East has lost money making weapons, or what's going on?
It's a crazy.
How do you lose money buying weapons? Did they lose the weapons and the money?
How do you lose money in war? I hear war is very profitable.
Yeah, I got to be honest. Yeah, that's
yeah.
I always said it's either going to be PO or making war machines, and here I am. So yeah.
Do you think if we just ask Raytheon to stop making bombs, they will? Do they even know that it's National Disarmament Week? Maybe the word just hasn't gotten out.
Well, notice that this post also has no shares. Nobody cares.
Nobody gives a shit about this. That
is very true. Yeah, Eric, were there other days we could have gotten a hold of?
No, it's like they're the worst days. This is the worst day. It's just a total loss. But yeah, National Cheeseburger Day had like 5,000 shares. Disarmament Week, nobody gives a fuck.
No.
Fabian, do you think there's hope for world peace at any point?
No, we are already in the midst of World War III.
I know.
And the question is, when was the first shot fired? And in my opinion, was before 2014 when Russia invaded Crimea. It predates that. But I think that history is going to call the current invasion the start of World War III.
Oh, great. Do you think it starts with Iran getting involved in the Gaza-Israel thing? Yeah, probably, right? That's not good. And then do you think, so does China in the United States, do they throw down?
So I tell you what my concern is with China. So the United States is about to be very distracted with Russia and with Hamas and Iran and Hezbollah and a bunch of other countries. Like, for example, Argentina is going to probably be with the Axis, right? They're already on the break, which is stupid. Argentina should be with the United States. But so China may take that as an opportunity to go over Taiwan, right? And if that happens, then
do you think the United States is spread too thin? Because we used to be the world police, and I think we've backed off of that. Is that do you think
no, we are still the world's police.
I have a question though, but I have a question, and it's just a simple man's question here. We owe China quite a bit of money, from what I understand. If they kill us, they will never get the money. So I think that China will always tread lightly, simply because without us, there is no money.
Yeah, but I think that, if there is a war, if China does, get involved, I don't think that money really is an element, in the sense that if they win, they get to get their money back, plus a hell of a lot more interest than otherwise. What I do think is that China is a little smarter, not so much in the capitalist sense, but in the sense that they understand that for them, peace and not getting involved in a lot of stuff directly is prosperity. And Xi is absolutely one of the best leaders in the world.
Well, that was my question: is why would you industrialize? You have a middle class now. Things seem to be trending in the right direction. You want to get involved in a world war because it's not going to end well for anybody. So
apparently, Putin did. I don't know what in the world's wrong with him.
You have to understand that Putin wanted to basically put his dick on the table and test the West and the West resolution to keep him on check. And the West didn't do anything, really, at the end of the day. Just providing weapons to Ukraine is not enough. I mean, and if you look at both First World War and Second World War, the United States didn't enter either of them until it was too late, right? And they had to basically come from behind.
Yeah.
The United States should have gotten involved immediately, just put that to bed, and then probably we wouldn't have the situation we have right now in the Middle East.
What we need Russia to do is bomb Pearl Harbor, and then we can get involved. We need.
Can I ask you a question though, that I've been thinking about, right? Because I think about this stuff a lot, and I don't know as much about it, obviously, as you do. But I was thinking about, like, Russia has had a real challenge keeping Ukraine, which my understanding is a third world country. How in the world will they handle us? Like, they were showing some of the equipment, and they're like, "This stuff's from the '70s." Like, I don't think it's a valid opponent, but if you can't take out Ukraine, good Lord.
Well, the United States, you have a different situation, right? So they share a border, which basically means that they can use ground troops, and just basically trade blows back and forth. With the United States, you don't have a border, except, in Alaska, but, you still have the Bering Strait and the North Pacific. So it's going to be a war based on interballistic missiles, right? Intercontinental ballistic missiles.
But would a war like that even happen? Because if we get into escalations with Russia, won't the presidents just push the big red button?
Someone's going to nuke somebody, right?
Or is it, yes, or they're going to have like a gentleman's agreement not to?
Well, I don't know. That is, with leaders of Russia during the Soviet Union, you could almost guarantee that nobody was going to press the red button. With crazy people like Putin, which they are earning for the Soviet Union, you have to understand the history of this guy, that he used to be a Russian spy, right? I mean, he was in Eastern Berlin when the wall fell down, and he felt betrayed by his country, right? So, and he keeps on escalating the nuclear rhetoric. So I'm not so sure that Putin will not press the button. I hope he doesn't, but hope it's not a strategy.
See, that's the thing. And you're a smart fella. This is what I think about a lot. One, so we know that 10 nukes ushers in nuclear winter, all humanity dies. We know that there's 5,000 on the planet. That's way too many fucking nuclear bombs, but here they are. Here's the other thing too that bothers me. We spend $800 billion on defense every year, right? We go without affordable higher education. We go without affordable medical treatment. We don't have a one-payer system, right? You can have a heart attack and lose your house. I'm for all of this if our military isn't beholden to a madman with his finger on the button. Like, what the fuck are we spending $800 million for if we're still hoping Putin doesn't do, you know what I mean? Like, if we're going to go without, if we're going to have the world's strongest military, shouldn't it be dictators get the fuck out of here or we'll kill you? You know what I mean? We're still playing.
We should have a special forces team idea here. So have a sea, air, and land team that could take people like that out.
I would think.
Yeah, but hang on a second. I think that I am, Eric, I'm totally with you, right? And I actually think that we should be spending a lot more in defense, in the military, right? We should have even a stronger military. But I'm with you that we should have affordable healthcare and better education. I mean, all of the above. The problem is that we think of our democracy as the model to govern countries. And it makes sense for us, right? I mean, it makes sense for the West because we culturally, historically, we have developed that sensibility. But places like, say, Jordan or Iraq or Iran even, well, I don't know Iran. Iran actually had a traditional democracy. The CIA kind of screwed it up. Anyway, let's put, or Afghanistan, actually the same thing. Let's put that to the side. But there are a lot of places where democracy is not necessarily the right form of government. That you need not necessarily a tyranny, but you need not a democracy to govern the people.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you need to read The Prince by Machiavelli, and that tells you, there was not democracy at the time he wrote the book, but, he tells you all of the different forms of not democratic governments and how they work. And
the dark arts.
That's a great book. Or Africa, for example, you see that those governments probably would do much better. So we try to export a form of government may not work for all people.
No, some people prefer theocracy. I mean, I think people that vote for Trump would much rather him just be king and allow him to do whatever the fuck he wants without any checks and balances. There's a certain amount of people that just like what they perceive to be a very strong white male leader, right? And that's what they fucking want. Well, certainly on this side of the planet. Yeah, it's weird.
Did you say strong white male leader?
I'm
a little lost here on strong.
I said what they perceive to be.
Did you say senile?
What they perceive to be. Strong white leader. Not what is the perception. I mean, as long as 300 pounds, orange with a hairpiece and wearing a diaper, they're like, that's the kind of
Can I just say one more thing about that, right? And I'm just thinking out loud here. I never in my life have ever said, regardless of what kind of tan I had, I can get pretty tan, have ever said to myself, I'm going to wear all white. All white.
No, that's never occurred to you?
Never. And I'm in pretty good shape. Never, ever would I ever think to myself, I'm going to wear all white and I'm 300 pounds.
Well,
never.
He's sexy.
He's not counting for this. Right?
It's a look. All right,
let's go with some colors. You know what I mean? Yikes.
Yeah. Well, we have great news on the horizon. Don't you guys worry. So if war's not going to get us, something else is. I'll tell you what it is right now. Robin, what's in the news?
Yeah, I do got to warn you. Nothing about today's news is particularly nice. Kylie, I don't even think I remember the last time we had a nice news story. So I did not know this until today, but there's this huge ice glacier. It's called the Thwaites Glacier, and it's more or less 20 feet of ice. And they're dubbing it the Doomsday Glacier. So when it melts, it will raise the sea level by several feet, and a bunch of coastal communities and islands will cease to exist.
There she blows.
Yeah.
So
that's a good one.
Yeah. So this is the Doomsday Glacier. Evidently, she loses 50 billion tons of ice every year. 50 billion tons of ice every year. That's increased sevenfold over the past 30 years. If this in the surrounding shit melts, and it's going to raise, what would you say, 17 feet? It's going to raise sea levels by 17 fucking feet. I think that places New York, D.C., and Boston underwater.
Here's my question. Hold on, though. Hold on.
Yeah.
So you're saying I have waterfront?
You're going to have waterfront property.
What I'm hearing? All right. Well,
I'm glad you brought that up because I was like, oh, shit, this is what's going to happen, right? There's going to be less and less of the United States because it's going to move inward. So I figured I'm going to look it up. What's the geographical center of the United States? Because I figured that'll be the last thing to go underwater.
That's
right. I found a nice house. So it's Belforche. I don't know. This is the geographical center of the United States. I don't know how you pronounce it. Belforche. It's in South Dakota. I found this nice little number. It's only $850, and you go, that sounds expensive for South Dakota, but it's 30 acres. So not bad, right? Look at all this land.
You get. Prime real estate.
That's a lot of grass mowing.
Yeah, well, it is. It is. But if we all chip in and we buy this house in the middle of the country, not only will we live, but we could live like like a rustic cowboys.
Can I be honest with you? This isn't really my kind of style. I'm more of a. I don't really like a lot of wood. I like sleek. Yeah.
Rodney, you're never gonna believe this. I shopped around. There's not a lot of like IKEA style sleek houses in Belfourche, South Dakota. So we're gonna have. There's 30 acres though. We can all build little huts.
We could build houses. We could build our own modern adobes.
Yeah. Just go to IKEA, get some kits, and bada bingo, bada bango. But this is it. Just so you know, humanity. This is the last place in the United States.
I did see a barn over there. Now, was that a barn? Hold on, going back now.
It's South Dakota, of course.
Right there, pickleball. It works. It works. I'm in.
Fabian, you can grow some. Oh, you can't eat red meat anymore. I was gonna go. Shit, no cattle for you. But you can hike. You can. There's mountains. It looks like back here.
You can grow mushrooms.
Go grow mushrooms. There's a lot of options. This is a good bourbon porch. Me and you sit out here and bitch about Hamas. You know what I mean?
We could do the show from the porch.
We could do the show from the porch. I'm just telling you, we're going to have to, because this is the last place that's going to be above water. You know why? Doomsday Glacier. Oh boy.
So I think this managed to be this used to be permafrost, and we've managed to make it not permafrost. That's kind of shocking.
Yeah, in the article, the scientist that's looking into this goes, listen, I wish I had some good news. There is no good news. We're all fucked. He goes, not only is it enough to stop what we're doing, we have to fix what we already fucked up. So we're polluting exponentially more than we should be.
Does he know how to fix it?
No.
Back in the lab. You know what? That's the craziest thing about this. They're always like, you have to, this is my issue with climate change. And I believe it's real. I'm not saying it's not. They're always like, you got to stop doing this. You got to, what's the alternative? Then they tell us, well, we don't know. Right. But then here's the problem. They're like, well, we can't fix what we messed up, but we need to fix it. We can't do nothing.
Well, what are you going to go to China and India and go, listen, guys, I'm going to need you to stop polluting. They're going to go, oh, okay. No, that's fine. We'll shut down.
I'm like, gee, listen. Come on. If Joe Biden can't get him to listen, I'm sure he ain't gonna listen to me. I don't even sure of it. I'm positive.
5,000 nukes on the planet, fucking doomsday glacier, World War III, like COVID. Man, this planet is rough.
We got to get the scientists to stop investigating these problems and start working on solutions to the problems. We know the global time. Just get it fixed. Go back in the lab.
Hear me out. I'm a fucking idiot, but I came up with a solution, right? This is what I got. You got to go to the middle of the country. Okay, so if anybody else has any ideas, I'm listening. But so far, I got nothing. So, guys, chip in. There's 4 bathrooms. We can all have our own bathroom. What are you crying about? 2 of us are going to have to bunk together because there's 3 bedrooms, but we'll figure it out.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, we had room to build other houses.
30 acres. We could, but in the meantime, we're going to snuggle just to get used to
Yeah, so whiskey. I mean,
if you buy 2 whiskeys in, I don't give a fuck. All my problems drip away. So I like the way you're thinking. All right, what else we got? Some more good news about AI.
Yeah. So this next story talks a lot about AI. Perhaps Fabian, you want to chip in on this one? It's more about the widespread use of AI in the military. And this particular story concerns the Navy and the Air Force. So they're using AI now to land the planes on carriers. Making aircraft carriers much more useful because they could just easily deploy aircraft support wherever needed. So I kind of understand also why Americans don't have free healthcare, is because one F-35 costs about $100 million.
Is this tipping over?
Well, that's the thing. I was shocked. So aircraft carriers are susceptible to waves. Man, the ocean does not fuck around. Look at all these goddamn, how big this thing is. That's got to weigh 200-300 pounds.
Like, we've lost 3 jets.
Because of waves. So here's the thing. They said that when you land one of these $70 million, $100 million, however much they are on one of these things, it's dark, it's cold, it's rainy, it's wet. Look at this runway. They said that the pilots have to make 300 adjustments like in the last 10 minutes to land these things. With AI, it's single digits. So really, anyone can fly a plane now. Robin, you interested in flying a $100,000 plane? It's just fucking not bad, right?
Here's the question I have that I'm a little confused on. And I was just brainstorming. When you do things repeatedly over and over, the costs go down. Does that sound right?
Yeah, but
they've been building these planes for years. They're more expensive now.
Something tells me when the taxpayers pay for things, the cost doesn't necessarily go down.
There it is.
As a matter of fact, I would suggest if the taxpayer is paying for it, the cost might go up every year for perpetually.
We got to tell Joe Biden.
Somebody should. Well, he's on vacation. That's in the next story. But I can't parallel park. Could you imagine landing a fucking plane on one of these things? It's horrifying. Right. Everyone's looking at you. Oh my god.
So you know that these planes had automatic pilots, right? And while the pilots did quote unquote land the planes, they were already assisted by automation.
Thank God. Well, that was my understanding too. Is that like commercial airliners don't
forward.
Right. Thank God, because when humans were flying planes, we were crashing left, right, and center. Now that robots have taken over.
Yeah, what if we never need pilots?
The Second World War, again, we were talking earlier about the Second World War, the rate of losing planes in the Navy was pretty high.
I'm sure. I've crashed bicycles. Yeah. And you fly around in the air.
Well, I have a question. I was just thinking about, right? Like, obviously, in all of these wars that you hear about now, they use drones, right? To find people, shoot them down, bomb thing, whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. I'm just asking. Maybe Elon's listening. Couldn't you take one of these jets, put the computer in there, and set it up so that it basically is a drone? And then you don't even need pilots. They could sit at the computer and just
but there's still the elements that. So the question is, if you have an AI flying a fighter plane against a human fighter plane, who's gonna win?
The AI.
Well, I don't know that is the case because humans are fairly unpredictable. Right.
That's the key. The unpredictability.
Right? So there are a lot of things that as a pilot you can do that an AI cannot really predict and anticipate. And while you can add uncertainty principles to AIs, it will never get there. I think that the confusion that people have with AI is that AI is nothing more than just another tool, right?
Yeah.
It's not the holy grail of anything. Is it disruptive? Absolutely. Is it going to push us forward by leaps and bounds? Absolutely. Right? But it's nothing more than a tool.
Then we have to load Joe Biden and Donald Trump's brains into the machine.
Why would we ever?
Unpredictable. It'll be completely unpredictable. No one will know what's
unpredictability. Yes, that's a good point.
Futurama, right? I mean,
that makes sense.
That does make an awful lot of sense. You're onto something there. Dark days ahead. But it is like ChatGPT came out less than a year ago, and now it seems like AI is goddamn everywhere. Don't you think?
Yeah, look, it's this is something that also, I've been thinking a lot quite a bit. There is no stopping progress, right? And the distance that you cover from point A to point B in terms of progress is not necessarily a straight line, right? It kind of squiggles around, sometimes goes back down, sometimes goes up, but there is no stopping progress. So this is something, so people have been working on AI for like 40 years. I mean, von Neumann, which is the godfather, if you will, of modern computing, the guy was talking about artificial intelligence back in the 40s, right? And you have a lot of science fiction, like, I'm rereading the Foundation series from Asimov, and the guy is talking about robotics, in the 50s, right? When he was 20 years old or even before that. So progress, there is no way to stop in it. The question is, can you control it? And the answer to that is you cannot control it either. No. The best you can hope is, for humanity to accept that progress will happen, embrace it, and not go nuts, right? So, for example, using AI for actual war, I'm personally against it because of, obvious reasons, meaning that I don't think that is ethical. But at the end of the day, it will happen.
Yeah.
Now, using AI to land a plane on a carrier, which will save taxpayers money, I'm all for it.
Do you think the term artificial intelligence is applicable in a lot of the cases that we're using it? So, for instance, on LinkedIn, you can now, when you start a post, it says start with AI. You don't have a machine that's thinking. What you're doing is taking all fucking LinkedIn posts, smushing them together, figuring out what word should precede the word or, whatever. So it's not really intelligent, right? It's just a very complicated algorithm that a human wrote. Don't we need machines to think for it to be artificial intelligence?
So my thesis was about reproducing how the brain works, right? This was 1992, 93. So there were two, and there's still two main branches of what we call generally AI. One that is based on proper neural networks, which is reproducing how the brain works. And the other one really is about reorganizing data in a way that can be sought faster, right? So the current AI and all of the machine learning, ChatGPT, all of these models is really more of the glorified sorting and searching type of things, right? And and so to your point, should it be called intelligence? The problem is that, it's the same thing as vegan cheese. Well, vegan cheese is about the cheese is, the definition is a curd, right? Anything that curds is a cheese. But say vegan meat, right? So why would you call Impossible Burger or Beyond meat, right? It's not. But there is a marketing element, right? So when the human stupidity, you need to trick human stupidity to think the way you want it to think. So you call it artificial intelligence or Beyond Meat or vegan meat, whatever, right?
Yeah, I get
it. People sort of frame their minds in the right way.
Like almond milk. Almonds don't have nipples. You can't milk them, but it's a good marketing term.
Or oats.
Oat milk. Oats don't have nipples either. I've checked.
Goats, but not oats.
Goats have nipples. Yeah, but I think clearly, do you think we're going to get to a point where machines think in a traditional human way?
Yeah, I think so.
They have to, right?
At some point, they're going to become sentient.
But does that mean that they also think with emotion, or they just think? Because if they start thinking with emotion, they're fucked, right?
Yeah, that is a good question, right? And I'm obsessed with how things work, right? So how do humans work? I ask this question of people: is when you feel, do you feel with your heart? And the answer is, a lot of people say, actually, most people say, yes, I feel with my heart. Well, the heart is a muscle that is designed to keep your body in homeostasis, meaning, as balanced as possible. It pumps blood, so your organs are oxygenated, so on and so forth. And your lungs, do the exchange, cleans, gets carbon monoxide or dioxide out and oxygen in. So you don't feel with your heart, you feel with your brain. But the question is, do you really have emotions, or is it just a series of stimuli that your brain processes in a particular way? So when you're talking about love, I think that is more about your familiarity with something, right? In particular with a person. And obviously there is a chemical element, like, pheromones, but at some point, like, for example, I'm an old guy, I'm almost 58 years old. A lot of those pheromones, while they're still there, they are not as much as when I was 18 or 20 or 25 or 30. And the same thing with my wife. So at some point, the familiarity needs to take over some of the chemical things.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So will they feel? That part I don't have an answer for you, because unless they can also have the same chemical reactions that we do, that any carbon-based entity has, then I don't know how they can feel.
I mean, we sequenced the human genome, right? So we have figured out these big complex problems. I would imagine at some point we're going to be able to recreate everything that goes on in our heads. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen in 20 years, but the toothpaste is out of the tube. And if we can do it, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
The feeling part is the thing that I have a question, right? That I don't really have a direct answer for you. It's neither yes or no, right? But
we have an answer, but we're not going to share it.
Yeah, we know. We've done all the research.
Okay.
All right, let's cover these last news stories because they tie into this
next time, right?
Yeah. Right. On episode 3 of Fabian's series, we had covered the truth of the universe. Stay tuned. You got to tease it out. All right, what do you got?
So this next one's also a little bit related to the previous one in a way. And I'm actually a little bit glad that AI is taking over bit by bit. Maybe they might take over completely so that we could avoid news stories like this one. So this is about an off-duty pilot who was in the cockpit during a Alaskan Airlines flight, and then he tried to turn off the engines mid-flight. So luckily, the pilots were flying the plane actually were able to subdue the guy, as well as some of the crew. And so this guy's now since been charged with 83 counts of attempted murder.
Good. Wait, crimes in the sky should be doubled like fines in a construction zone, because you're like 83 counts of murder, attempted murder. That's absolutely what he should get, because that's who he tried to fucking kill. So this guy, by all accounts, just had a mental breakdown. But here's what bothers me, and to Robin's point, we need machines to fly these things, because you have the two pilots. This guy goes, hey, can I sit in the cockpit? They're like, yeah, sure, come on board. Then he tries to murder everyone on board. Like, we get people the fuck out of the cockpit. What are we doing? Are we ever going to learn a lesson? It never goes well. He can't sit in the back with everybody else and not murder people. I mean, fuck. But evidently he did have like I know how everyone says like, oh, they were so quiet, great neighbor. Like this, they had a whole bunch of people go, listen, I've been over his house for cookouts. He's great to his kids. He's a soccer dad. Never seen him lose his temper. And then he tries to kill 83 people. The world is horrifying. This is why we need robots.
I have a question. So what gave it away that he had a mental breakdown? The outfit?
Well, a man playing a ukulele, he's supposed to be flying a fucking plane. But the instrument.
Yeah, I mean, I would be like, listen, that doesn't even look like. I got to be honest. I don't even think this isn't a real plane. Here's why I say it to you, because look at that headset. Robin's headset looks more official than this gentleman's.
Well, that's where
I mean, Robin looks like, yeah, like, and he's playing a guitar. And where's his uniform at?
Well, it is Alaskan Air, so
it is Alaskan Air, so anything goes. I think up in Alaska. I mean, he does seem like a normal guy. Oh, one of his kids had special needs. Like he's a great special needs dad. Oh my god, it's so horrifying.
Was he trying to kill 83 people, or was he trying to kill himself?
Yeah,
well,
I
think it's all one the same.
I sympathize with people that are troubled and want to end things, but like when you cross that line of putting other people in danger, that's
I agree. I agree. I'm just saying though, like I don't think he had a mental breakdown. I think he's just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And he tried to kill himself and take everybody with him.
You know what's fucked up is having a pilot madman in the cockpit is even worse, because he knew which buttons to press. If you just have a normal psychopath, they're fucking trying to shoot around in the dark. This guy knew where the fire suppression system that cuts off fuel to the engines was, and that's what he went after. Stop letting people in the fucking cockpit.
That's right.
Don't let the terrorists in. Don't let this guy in. No one.
Just the last time I was in the cockpit and they were flying, I just said, what does this do? What about that one? This guy good? How about that? This? Anything? Nothing? I got to be honest, though, there's like 500,000 buttons.
People are complaining about self-driving cars, man. I mean,
I know a self-driving car would freak me the fuck out. I'm not ready for that, but somehow I'm playing them. Like, that makes a lot of sense.
Come on, man. I mean, get on with the program. You want an automatic plane, then you have to be with the self-driving cars.
I know, like somewhat ironically, I'm all for self-driving F-18s, but if you get a self-driving United Air Flight 747, I'm like, nope, just not this guy. I just don't want this guy. Here's the other thing. I thought maybe like he's crazy. So I heard somewhere pilots don't make a lot of money, but turns out they kind of make a lot of money. So they make anywhere between $118,000 and $700,000 a year. United averages at 205. So, he's well paid. What more can we do? People are out of their fucking minds. 83 counts of murder or attempted murder. Woo!
Yikes.
No, don't worry. What of America's brightest political minds has spoken about Joe Biden, though? So, Robin, you want to serve this one up?
Sure, I would love to. So I know it's kind of become like an internet meme that we ask rappers about their political opinions, like Ja Rule. Honestly, I don't see anything wrong with it. In fact, I encourage it because they kind of become like a platform that allows people to just talk about pressing issues. So I follow 50 Cent on Instagram, not because I like his music so much, but because he posts stuff, and most of it's relatable. Sometimes he calls people out on their bullshit. So there's a picture released of Joe Biden. He was chilling, getting a tan on the beach, and 50 made a post, and he said, "Hey Joe, get the frick up. We in trouble, man."
Yeah,
that's right.
Sage political advice. We is in trouble. I don't know if he knows what's going on in the Middle East, but inflation's kind of high. Tax rates, you can't buy a house. But
it's like Joe's reading about it.
He's like, oh, I'm fucking up. Look at all these numbers. Here's the thing. I'm fine with work from home if you get the job done. He is not getting the job done. And let me point something else out that's kind of depressing. This man vacations 147 days a year. This isn't the entire term. This is the This is a year. He's doing a 3-day work week as president. And listen, he's 80. He should have a part-time job. This shouldn't be it. You should, you know what I mean? 80.
You know what this chart shows us is that Barack's the only one who didn't work.
Barack showed the fuck
Thank
up.
God.
I know.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, even 41 days a year is kind of a lot. That's the average American.
I mean, it's a lot, but I mean, look at these guys. Like everybody else is double or triple or quadruple what he is.
Fucking Biden is 106 days more a year. He's the president of the biggest, most powerful country on the planet. Get to work, Joe. Come on.
So I mean, I want to get your opinion on this. Just because he is president, but doesn't he get some entitlement to personal time off?
Absolutely, Robin. I could not beat, but not 147 days. 147 days. He's taking every Monday and Friday off. Every Monday and every Friday. He's working 60% of the time. That's not enough if you're the president. That's not enough if you work at McDonald's. You could be a Chick-fil-A fry cook. You're not making enough French fries for the public. He's the president.
Yeah,
and I feel like I gotta be honest. I agree with you.
President, so he has to have a higher commitment to his work than anybody else.
You would think. Football coaches do 100 hours a week, and they fucking, you know, they coach football. This guy's doing 100 hours a year, and he's in charge of the country. What the fuck is going on? Robin's country is they have a dictator, and he shows up more often than Joe Biden.
Robin's country's having some troubles with China over some boat issues, I heard.
Yeah, and Fabian was talking about earlier in the green room, I think, of how China might use like US's distractions in the Middle East situation to come to Taiwan and the Philippines. So
we won't notice when China starts attacking countries. Like, yeah, but Hamas. Oh yeah, you do whatever you're gonna do. Stop it.
Yeah.
World War III, baby. You ready?
Yeah, I said that the other day. I said, I sure hope we don't get any more troubles going on. My worry is Iran gets into the fray.
You know, my worry is
Iran is about to get into the fray.
Great. My worry is that all three of us are beyond drafting age, but we're going to lose Rob in a war. We're going to have to come up with a new co-host. What's going to happen then?
So I have a question. How many do we? I think you said this the other day, or maybe I was, I don't know. How many weapons of sorry, not mass destruction. We can't say this word. How many nuclear weapons does our friends in Iran have?
Iran has more than enough. So Russia has the most. Yeah, Russia has the most. We're in a close second. It falls off after that, but Iran has almost 1,000, I believe.
Because I feel like Iran doesn't like us.
No, but 10 wipes out humanity. So it's a high stakes game. Very high stakes game. Speaking of high stakes game, let's do this one last news story before we dive deep into the old AI. What do you got, Robin? This is why I drink bourbon. Good.
This is the last story for today. It's a bit light. It's about Tsingtao, which is like the Bud Light of China, I'd say. So there's this video, and it kind of went viral because a worker was caught inside one of the breweries with his pants down, quite literally, because he was urinating inside a vat with a batch of malt. So obviously this is horrible news.
That's the secret ingredient.
That's the extra. That's the extra. It's the ingredients.
That's a little bit of love. I'll tell you this: the first time you get caught on camera pissing into a vat of beer is not the first time you pissed into a vat of beer. You know what I mean?
But how do we know that's what he's doing? I mean, doesn't look like that's what he's doing to me.
It looked pretty innocent. I haven't seen the whole video. This was the screenshot that every news organization has. But I mean, if somebody says if they say he pissed in the beer, let's be cautious. Shut down this beer. You know? Mm-hmm. Are you willing to take a risk? Because it looks close enough to pissing to me.
I mean, no, I think he probably did it. I got to be honest. Like, again, right? We can see people on the moon and images, but this is the best we've got of the.
We can neither confirm nor deny if he pissed in the beer, but let's just play it safe. So this place, how do you say the name of the beer, Robin?
Tsingtao. I don't know if that's right.
Tsingtao. Sixth largest beer producer in the world. $12.65 billion. I'm telling you this though. You pissing some beer, it's going to affect their bottom line. How do you even punish this guy? He's going to cost this company billions of dollars. I'm never drinking it again. I never drank it to begin with, but I'm not drinking it now.
You know what they need? They need to get the team from Bud Light.
Yeah, they did it around.
They'll turn it around over there.
They need Dylan Mullaney or whatever the fuck her name is.
I've had this beer. Honestly, it's not that bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't read the employee handbook. He doesn't know he's supposed to piss in the beer.
Maybe he was trying to change the tagline to tastes like piss.
in our, I suspect. I mean, all of this yellow fizzy beer, all of this. I'm not just shitting on Asian beer. This kind of beer kind of tastes like piss, doesn't it? Bud Light, Miller Light.
You never hear about anybody pissing in the barrels of bourbon, though.
You can't piss in a barrel of bourbon. It's impossible. It's
That's right.
But even if you did, right, the alcohol content will kill anything that you.
It's so high. I know.
That's a good point.
Like,
the problem is, this is mostly urine now, whereas bourbon will always be at least 80% booze.
That's right.
All right, Fabian, we have some questions about this AI stuff. So,
Sure.
Well, what do you want? You want to talk about that, or you want to talk about Israel? I'm going to let you pick since it's your second.
Let's talk about AI. I think that enough bum news for one day. Let's talk about interesting things. Things that actually might get us out of the hole that we are in as a.
So that's a good. So that's a great point. So I think, from my perception of AI, I'm for it. Like, I'm a big CRISPR guy. I think if you can read the genome, see what the problems are, get AI involved. As a diagnostics tool, it's going to be beautiful. What if we can get it on global warming and it comes up with solutions we hadn't thought? Like, I know we think it's doom and gloom and it's going to be predator machines or Terminator machines coming and killing us, but there's going to be some hope, right? With AI, like some grand unified hope for humanity.
Yeah. So let's talk about global warming for a second. So the data shows that the turning point was about 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. So the best we can hope right now is to slow it down. Right. And the problem is not that. So what is the global warming deniers, right? Or climate change deniers? To some extent, they're right. The system cools and warms on a regular basis.
Right.
But the time is measured in tens of thousands of years, right? With the Industrial Revolution, we went from something like 5,000 years to 150 years, right? And in order to revert it, we would have had to do something about 25 to 30 years ago. So there is no reverting it. Right now, is the only thing that you can do is mitigate the damage that is going to cause. But, the glaciers are going to melt and some coastal communities will disappear and islands will disappear. The Philippines is a great risk, right? I mean, I think that the Philippines has something like 1,000 islands around. Most of those are going to be gone, right?
7,000, yeah.
7,000, right? Most of them are going to be gone. I'm buying actually property in Nevada because I think that that's going to be the new beachfront property. You want to do it in South Dakota, no problem. But
well, I'm going to outlive you, but yeah.
The thing with AI is that AI is not going to solve the problem because the problem is based on having too much carbon in the atmosphere. So unless you come up with this huge vacuum, right, that filters air and gets rid of the carbon, that is not going to happen at the industrial level that you need to do it.
That's what we got to work on then.
Yeah,
it's got to build a vacuum.
It's not going to happen. But AI will help us mitigate some of the challenges, will help us with how to maximize food production. There are a lot of things that AI, even the searching and sorting type of AI can help us with managing the consequences of our foolish actions.
They said in one of these articles, I forget which one it was, and I forget why it was pertinent. It might have been the AI flying the planes. I guess IBM said most companies only use 10% of their data to make decisions. Isn't this a case where AI, can AI evaluate 100% because it's a machine and it has unlimited capabilities? And if we're missing 90% of the data, doesn't it suggest that maybe, solutions are in the 90% somewhere that humans just aren't paying attention to?
Yeah, I would disagree with IBM. I think that we are using a lot less than 10%. I would say 10%. But look at some of the decisions that companies make that make absolutely no sense, right? There are a few companies that actually are using all of the data that they have available, and even in their case, they still make stupid decisions. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, the problem that we have is with data accessibility, right? So about 20 years ago, or maybe a little bit more, this concept of a data warehouse came about, right? And we didn't really have the tools. So what we did is we used relational databases to collect data that companies had, whether it was through websites or transactions or points of sale systems, whatever the case happened to be. The problem with data warehouses is that they're structured databases, meaning that before you store data, you have to decide what the store is going to contain, right? So say, for example, you decide that you want first name and last name, right? And now you build systems around first name and last name. But then you want to understand how many people have a second name, right? A middle name, and how prevalent that is, and how many times they use their middle name rather than the first name. You don't have the data. So now you have to go change the database to add the middle name, right? And that means that it takes a long time for all of the rest of the systems to catch up to access that information. So in the last few years, there is a new concept that is called a data lake, where basically you collect all of the data. Storage is inexpensive. So you collect all of the data. Whether you're going to use it or not doesn't really matter. You just collect it, right? And then you have an inventory of what you're collecting. So you collect first name, last name, age, date of birth, so on and so forth. Now, tomorrow, and you build systems, you basically extract what you need for the systems. So tomorrow you need different type of information or different type of processing. You already have the data, right? So you don't have to really make any changes. You really need to make use of it. So it's a more efficient and better way of looking at that. So if you really want to use all of the data that your company produces or your government produces or consumers produce, you really need to switch how you think about data collection and what are the questions that you really want answered.
Do you think it's weird? We talked about it in the green room, how, again, we can see black holes from 55 light years away using special tools and techniques, but we still, humans, don't like each other because we're different colors, right? There seems to be just such a drop off between our intelligence in one specific way, and rape and murder and racism are still things. Like, that's a real huge divide. So ostensibly we have the ability to collect these massive amounts of data, know everything, but then we don't know how to use them. Like, we have a gap in our intelligence. Doesn't it seem like that? Like a real steep fucking gap?
I don't really have an answer for that.
Oh, God damn it, Fabian. I was hoping you would. It just seems so
weird. Humanity is just, I don't know that we are intelligent, right? I mean, the first question that you need to ask is humanity intelligent? And my answer is no, we are not very intelligent. Our intelligence basically is in the proportion or in the context of the universe. We, as a species, we had just been born, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to take us thousands of years to go from, 1 year old to 1.1 year old.
Yeah.
Right. So
that's true.
What you are looking at is that, kids, right? You put them in a playground and they're going to fight, right? So that is what you're looking at right now. Are we going to get ever out of this stage? That is the question that we need to answer, right? And lately I've been in a really dark place. So my answer is no, we are not getting out of it.
I don't think so either. And what's, in terms of whether or not we're intelligent, you would think an intelligent species would have in a sort of a monochrome of self-preservation. But we come up with devices like the nuclear bomb, and we're like, all right, so we know 10 will wipe us out. Why don't we build 6,000 of them? And oh no, that's a great idea. We're still fighting wars. We're an intelligent species. We've made it to the fucking moon.
We should have moved to rock, paper, scissors already.
That's smarter. That's objectively smarter. No one dies. And here's the thing: the people that start wars, they're not the ones that fight them, like us dumb moron idiots. We're the ones that fight and die in them, and we still haven't learned our fucking lesson. It's just so bizarre. There's no hope for us.
Do you remember the movie Troy with Brad Pitt?
Yeah, Brad Pitt. Oh boy, do I.
Yeah, at the beginning, he goes and kills this massive guy. I don't remember the actual battle. And the king says, the did you have breakfast already or something like that, right? And the guy turns around and says, wouldn't it be nice if kings fought their own battles?
Right. And so we've known this. I know that's a movie, but we've known this since the dawn of mankind, that it's conceptually bizarre that someone I don't know orders me to kill somebody else I don't know, and I do it for money. And then we think, oh, this is a great system. This is a perfect system. And it's not like we don't have bigger problems to worry about. The Philippines is going to be underwater next week. Where's Robin going to live? How is he going to do the show? Nobody seems to fucking care.
I'll be streaming from a Huawei phone, and I'll be speaking Mandarin.
Do you know Mandarin? You better learn it.
I will.
He will, but he will.
Have a week. Yeah.
Fabian, I don't want to go too dark.
I hear it's an easy language.
No,
it's the most difficult language I've heard ever.
Well, the characters, each character represents something else, right? So it's not like the Latin alphabet where we have 26 and we just smush them together. I think that's tough. Ugh. We better win this war because I am not ready to learn Mandarin.
It's a pictographic language.
Yeah, that's tough. So Fabian, too, I mean, I don't want to get too dark here, but I was not prepared for war in the time of social media. Because like these firsthand accounts of the atrocities of war, if that's not enough to make everybody go, what the fuck are we doing? I don't think there's any hope. Because my pervasive theory always was, like during Vietnam, you saw numbers. You're like, all right, 100 troops died today. You're like, oh, that sucks. But it was a number. Now we see babies' bodies being torn apart and mothers wailing because their children are dead. And now we go, man, it's the cost of being alive. That makes me think there's no hope.
So the Vietnam War was actually broadcast on TV, but you make a good point that the availability of information today and videos and pictures and, you know, like the graphic scenes is a lot more available now than it has ever been before, right? And, you know, you hear and you read the stories about babies being decapitated. It just... I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, it's just, you know, on the other hand, you know, I think that, so I'm a supporter of the state of Israel because I am Jewish, right? And it's the only country that will ever answer for who I am. I'm not necessarily in favor of the policies that the state of Israel carries. As we already stated, I am a two-state solution. So sometimes I get very concerned about what happens with the quote-unquote innocent people in Gaza. The question is, and I have the same question about the Holocaust, right? So in the Holocaust, there were instances where you would have 300 or 400 Jewish people standing there in front of a mass grave, and there would be 10 or 20 Nazis shooting on them, and they would not move, right? So 200-300 people could have rushed them. Yes, some of them would have died.
Yeah.
But fuck the Nazis, man. I mean, just, you know, rush them and beat them to fucking pieces, right?
Yeah.
You're getting me fired up. I like it.
Right?
No, I would have beat the shit out of them.
Well,
Go on.
so I have the same question with Gazans, right? Because people in Gaza, not everybody supports Hamas. So, and there are 2.2 million people where the majority actually does not support Hamas. So why don't they rush Hamas and Islamic Jihad and do the same thing? Now, the Jews didn't do it in the Second World War. I don't expect that they're going to do it right now. I mean, it's, so is Israel right to go and bombard the hell out of innocent people? Morally, I don't think so. However, it has the right to protect itself, and Hamas uses civilians as shields. So I don't know, man. I think that something has to give, and unfortunately, Hamas does not care about their own people.
Yeah.
So why should Israel?
The war on terror is just so, like, did we have the right after 11 Saudis flew into 2 buildings to invade Afghanistan and Iraq? Probably that didn't make any, like, you know what I mean? But when you fight a war on terror, things get really fucking messy and blurry.
It's not just you're fighting basically. So again, we spoke in the green room about this, right? My opinion is that Third World War already started, and it actually started before the Russian invasion of Crimea. We will probably, in history, we are going to probably see that the current invasion of Ukraine is what started World War III. But it's been this long, slow fuse, and at some point, it's just going to go off across everywhere. The part that is funny is the longest time of peace that we had was during the Cold War. Think about it.
So the longest time of peace when we were on the brink of war. Yeah, that's where you want to be. You just want to be on the brink of war. That's a nice. That's our best.
Sitting on the fence.
Sitting on the fence. That's all we got to do.
Yeah.
You know what I think the grand irony of religion too is, like, we had Eden. Earth was perfect. It had everything we needed: enough food, enough water, enough everything for everybody, and we fucked it up. We totally fucked this up, and now to the point where it's going to wipe us out. There's some beautiful symmetry there. I'm sad I'm going to die, but like poetically, it makes, you know. It's a good story.
Poetic justice, right?
It's poetic justice. Yes, we had it all, and look what we've done with it. Our only hope is the fucking robots that we created. Oh, this is good drama. This is a good narrative.
Well,
oh, there you go. Right. Well, they knew. We've known forever. So, wrapping up, do you think that there's hope with the machines' logic, learning, ability to produce food, medicine?
Yeah, I think that AI as a whole, again, whether you go the sorting and searching or real intelligence, I think that as tools are fantastic, right? And as disruptive as they are and as scary as they can be, hackers are using it, so there is this also arms race between good guys and bad guys in terms of using these tools. But as a whole, I think that they're fantastic tools. They're going to help humanity. They're going to help companies. They're going to help consumers. A lot of the things that we have seen in science fiction, like Star Wars, not Star Wars, Star Trek,
yeah,
the stuff that Isaac Asimov or Ray Bradbury have written, they're going to become a reality. It's just the way it's going to go. The question is, how fast are we going to get there? And are we going to get there before we are completely obliterated ourselves?
Yeah.
My hope is that yes, but again, hope is not a strategy.
No, hope is not a strategy. Are you concerned that it's going to wipe out the arts? Like, they can already do music, movies, I'm sure are very close behind. Video games, I think.
Code, they get the code.
They're just
code, yeah.
Are humans going to have jobs?
I'm sorry?
Are humans going to have jobs? I mean, I know it seems crazy now, but we're in the Nintendo, but we're going to get to the PlayStation 5. And at that point, you go, holy shit, what can it do?
No, I think that humans will always have jobs, right? The question is, it's a problem of reinventing yourself, right? One of the things that humans are not good at is reinventing themselves, right? We are going to be forced to do that, right? And if there is enough food, the question is, does everybody have to work 40 hours a week, right? I mean, there's going to be a paradigm change that comes along with the prevalency of these tools. But these tools are good, right? And things are going to be better for all of us. Yeah. The problem is not the machines, right? It's not the overlords, the machine
operators.
The operators.
The problem is the humans. We think of ourselves as intelligent beings, and yet, we have wiped out entire species from the planet, and
thanks, Eric.
Entire people from the planet, right? And but I mean,
you know what's fucked up with, like, we're going to have to accept the erosion of capitalism as we know it, probably. But you would think that would be a great, like, if somebody comes to you and says, listen, machines are going to do all the work, all you have to do is hang out all day. We'd be like, that's great, but that won't happen. It will inevitably come with awful consequences where we don't collect the paycheck. We could, because money is a concept or construct. But yeah, I don't. It sounds like it should be great. Somehow we're gonna fuck it up. We fuck everything up.
I read a couple of days ago, so I forget what was it said. It was someone smarter than me, and they said AI won't take your jobs. The people that know how to use it will. I think eventually what will happen is that you see it now. Like Google owns like all this stuff. Microsoft owns this. Elon's starting that. I think what will happen is that all of the richest people in the world will own all of the models.
Yeah, that's gonna be.
And that's how it'll work. And then you'll end up working for them.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
What is different right now? I mean,
that's right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
I mean, you have a few companies that have all of the tools anyhow, right? I mean, so they're going to be 10% less companies. Big deal.
Yeah.
I was thinking too, like, is it going to go backwards? Should I learn blacksmithing? But there's machines that can blacksmith. What am I going to learn? Do I even?
Eric goes and gets his degree in blacksmithing, and he sees a robot.
I'm thinking about welding. I'm going to start welding. I have a welding issue.
No, I think that there will always be. So you need to think about the transition, right? I mean, there will always be a need for artisanal work, right? For a blacksmith, a human blacksmith that is going to incorporate some of those mistakes into the work, right? And mistakes in cheap, right? I mean, the artistic element.
Charming mistakes.
Charming mistakes, right? You will always have a need for that, right? And Rodney, to your point, the transition is going to be from us doing the programming to us being the operators, right? And, and that is something that we need to accept. And
I'm okay with it.
Right.
It's just happening so fast.
Right. The right to strike, all of the things that I'm talking about, that was about anti-AI. I think that is foolish, right? I mean, as a writer, you can use these tools to help your writing be better, more complete, more accurate, faster. So now instead of doing one series, you can do 3 series, right? For example, or 3 movies.
An equalizer.
My thing too is that the writing wasn't that good. I watch a lot of Netflix. The shit's just we need some robot help. I think we're tapped out. Like how many times are they gonna reboot a franchise? Like let's give the robots a shot,
But I also think like, for example, the studios now the actors strike continues, and one of the main points is that once they sign all of their digital rights, the studio can then reproduce them at will, whatever they want. And I think that while when I was at NBC, I was in favor of getting all of the digital rights. I think that the studios also are being stupid in the sense that, so for example, extras, right? Extras is the meal that produces stars, right? If you don't have extras, how are you going to discover new stars? Because not everybody comes from Juilliard or the Shakespearean theater in London. Not every single actor actually has a formal acting background. Brad Pitt, I can name.
I just saw a clip on Instagram of Matthew McConaughey on a Unsolved Mysteries episode. He just got shot and he didn't have any lines. Like we need that kind of we need that shit, right?
Yeah. We need new blood, right? And I think that
that's why we're doing this.
There is a thing, right, that there is not necessarily a middle ground, but there is an element where everybody wins, right? The studios win because they have the digital rights and they can do a lot of things with that. And for example, for gaming or for short format content. And at the same time, you still have a very wealthy, cadre of actors, right, that come through and are extras and get paid. And you have a healthy industry. AI does not need to be against any of that. But people don't think right? I mean, they're going like, I'm going to take full advantage of AI and screw everybody else. And,
humans are so smart and humans are so stupid. And I think that's the lesson today's show. Oh, we got to log off. It's an hour and 2 minutes. All right. Listen, thank you, Fabian. Stick around in the green room for a second if you don't mind. But for the rest of you, we will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.